where does one begin in the saga of Billville? Well, let's pick it up at Summerfest '85. The Kern River. A river runs through it.
Summerfest '85, the Kern River, a river runs through it. Summer officially kicks off the Memorial Day weekend at Billville. That's where the bulk of my LA friends commiserate. Cocktail and camp. Billville is definitely Disneyland for adults. This rugged Sierra Nevada mountain range has streams, woods, and the mighty Kern Rivers makes for a bitchin' backdrop for dropping acid mushrooms and ecstasy or whatever else you got. Although I bet heroin probably isn't a camping drug. Nodding out and roasting marshmallows are mutually exclusive activities. And coke in the woods, no good. Tried it, hated it. The games associated with coke are more conducive for urban partying. Ask my wife and the Kennedys. Along with the recreational drugs, the accompaniment of beer, wine, whiskey, liquor, and the almighty doob is essential. Your liver will get a workout at Billville, because we want to blow you up. That's not to say that you couldn't have a great time with these elixirs, but I wasn't about to make that kind of bold experimentation. That's some brave stuff going to Billville straight. Memorial Day weekend '85 was kind of special. I introduced my Hollywood pals to Billville. Bob and Dana, parties extraordinaire. Larry Anderson, my good showbiz buddy, and his lovely Aussie paramour, Lila, came up too. But of course, my beach pals, Coleman, who I nicknamed Colin, his girlfriend Carol, Dave Walsh, the group merchant of Venice, and his chick Rita were there too. Marty Cove Karate Kid and his Aussie wife with a killer culo. Vivian made it up as well. Also, several other regulars, which included parents, kids, dogs, and of course, the host of this grand debauchery, Bill Clinton. And I'm not talking about the ex-president. Setting up camp was just, mine Crystal was great, just a little bit. She being more of a man than I, she did most of the work. She liked being in charge, so I would assist. Making camp usually took about 3 beers. I was accompanied by Mine Crystal. Setting up camp, Mine Crystal was great. Her being more of a man than I, she did most of the work. I may be tricky, but she's dicky. She liked being in charge, so I would assist. Making camp usually took about 3 beers and a couple of lines of coke, 2 hits of glue, and some Drano.
Then we would adjourn to the center of camp. Bill literally built his fort equipped with a rustic kitchen, picnic fucking table, an area for coolers, boom boxes, and a hammock for chilling. All under a huge pine tree for shade.
From another huge pine nearby was a swing. The swing could take you from the top of this ravine and swing you out some 70 feet. Well, God forbid the swing would break, for it would mean certain paralysis or death for some unlucky camper.
Oh, excuse me. Near the center of camp was this deck, see? It was erected off the cliff that looks over the scenic review. Am I boring you? I'm sorry. Above the deck is a huge stone fireplace. After a hard day of hiking and tubing and partying, that's where we'd usually commence to fuckwad and entertain. Oh, there was one other thing. That fuckwad fest would usually include anything from an innocent Beatles sing-along that would last for hours. And it would also include some costume soirees, compliments of Coleman's closet. Lots of costumes, because he is a big faggot. I'm sorry, am I bothering you? One time, Colin wore a Superman suit, see? He got phenomenally drunk as he stood above this big rock stove with his cape blowing in the wind. In one hand, he had a burger. In the other hand, he had a bottle of barbecue sauce. He would eat the burger, then chase it down with some barbecue sauce. He could barely stand. It was still perfect. I called him Stuperman.
Second, who are these people who go to camp without drugs? Second order of business on this killer sunny day, the obligatory trip to the stream below. It's a steep hike down to the stream. Off to the right is an area great for washing up and brushing your teeth. The brisk, clear waters of this mountain stream brushes over and around large rocks. Great for basking in the hot California sun.
Burn Center Bob was really grooving. Basking in the sun rocks, I was admiring my Crystal's legs while she smoothed sunscreen on them. She used a lot of sunscreen. She had a lot of leg. Dave, Rita, and Colin's girlfriend Carol were getting restless. There was still so much to explore in this ravine o'plenty. Dave whipped out some mushrooms and I whipped out some beers. Colin whipped out some doobage while Bob played Tears for Fears. We gathered and split to another magical place we call the Falls. It's a fairly challenging hike through the stream that twists and turns its way down between these huge boulders, jumping from rock to rock, over boulders and through the stream that was gaining momentum. It was no easy task. As we carried all our creature comforts, coolers, boombox, towels, dope, the essentials. A downward trend gave way for a marvelous view below. Deep blue sky had but a few puffy white clouds. This ravine, carved from centuries of erosion, made for some trippy scenery. Canyon-like rocks lie askew as if they had tumbled from some prehistoric earthquake. Layers of mineral deposits made radical lines across these majestic boulders that went for miles. This natural phenomenon struck me profound. Mother Nature is a motherfucker. That's not the drugs talking either. As the mushrooms kicked in, my energy grew. Breathing was joyous, and soon I started babbling like this brook that was now a small river. This mini river had transformed into a waterfall, the falls, one of the great hangs. The water tumbles down to a dark little cove. The pool in this black stone cove is icy. The water spills from this pool, creating a larger pool, a sandbar of sorts. The water is shallow, and some of the people wading in it were too. And soon it descends and continues on, taking the shape of a mountain stream again. To the left of this sandbar is a steep boulder, the actual entrance to the falls. The boulder is carved perfectly, as if it were tailor-made, with nooks and crannies great for climbing or lounging. The Sierra Nevada sun is hot, and the water is cold, creating a wonderful contrast that bombards the senses. On mushrooms, it's a fucking trip. And then when you add your LA crazies to this scenario, it's a recipe for big grins, great banter, and laugh until you puke fun. Larry did the old balls across the face routine there. Colin told us the story of how he fed cat food as hors d'oeuvres at this Christmas party. I was there, and when Colin announced to his very unsuspecting guests that he had duped them, there was a certain gasp. On one hand, Colin had sponsored this Christmas party, but on the other, he had fed us poison. I duly noted that Colin giveth Christmas and Colin taketh it away. For some reason, Larry waxed indignant, see? His cat food prank put a bad taste in Larry's mouth. He vowed privately to me that he would wax vindictive. Am I getting too much wax build up here? Anywho, one night, Colin got too drunk and passed out. Larry dropped his trowel and rested his genitalia on Colin's face while I snapped away with my Canon 35mm. It was a late night, and the cold night air put a little chill on Larry's dick, shrinking it considerably. Well, this was a reference to Larry's genitalia. Apparently, it was large enough to make a huge bulge. In a later trip to Billville, Larry would give us all a glimpse of his basket firsthand as he took advantage of, another photo opportunity.
So, we vowed to come up with a revenge plan. So he's laying there, and we're all feeling a little childish ourselves. So we said, what can we do to get revenge on John? So he's laying there, we go up, we figure we'll get some lipstick, we'll draw all over his face, we'll do all that stuff. So we did do that, I think we got a magic mark or something.
Everybody participated.
Yeah, we have all of us. But then after we'd had them all painted like some raving fucking banshee, we thought, this is not enough, we gotta get something else. So we said one of us, I don't know who the idea was, one of us ought to put his dick in John's mouth and we could get a picture of him. So we're all looking at each other, standing over John as he's laying there, And we're all looking at each other saying, who's going to be brave enough to whip out their dick? Of course, obviously the guy with the biggest dick is going to do it. Because, he's got nothing to hide.
But he chose not to, so Larry,
So I decided it would be me. And so I did. I pulled out my genitalia and lowered it slowly onto John's face, and worried that he might be overhearing this and that he might like grab a hold of it. I was a little bit cautious, but so I let it shrivel up a little bit just to draw it back in case, you know. It was a cold morning. It was a cold
There
night.
was no inclination whatsoever.
And who took the picture?
And I don't know who took. Did you take the picture?
Of course.
Checky took the picture. He had one of those little.
No, I still have the roll of film.
Yeah, it has a negative and everything, doesn't it? Silly me. I should have, made sure it was a Polaroid or something without a negative. And it's Shecky's camera with a negative. This story eventually actually came back to backfire on me, much more so than it did John Coleman. But we ended up with a picture of my balls on his face. And lots of lipstick on him. Looked like he had a really.
These
bizarre
idiots
party.
thought they put me down. They didn't know that I was awake the whole time. I pretended to be asleep. I didn't move a muscle ordinary lest they realize I was the one who was capping them.
So we have a picture of John's, my balls on his face, and that surfaced at a number of parties subsequent to that. It was always posted on Shecky's bulletin board, and I would go in, and it was there supposedly to embarrass John, but I go in, and then everybody's looking at my balls, which, as we said, it was a cold morning that day.
And people were going, they go,
There's a shrivel factor.
who's that guy with Larry's balls? They kept, that was like,
I don't understand.
My balls were more famous than his
Somehow they figured it was some kind of a put down. I mean, I figure I got them.
So that's the balls across the face story, and someday when I get my get my sitcom and I'm starring in my own movie or sitcom, that's going to show up in the Enquirer or the Star magazine.
Tell us about one of the times you got caught cheating.
Cheating on who?
One of the guys that used to go out. Bruce, Kevin, Henry.
I don't think I ever got caught cheating.
Tell us about a few of the times you got away with it.
What's that got to do with Billville?
Nothing.
Oh yeah. You just gathered videotape.
Biographical background.
Yeah, I know.
Biographical background. You need a little history.
Tell you about my felony records.
That's it. We want to hear about
Minnesota